Hello and good morning, everyone. My name is Abhinav, and I'm co-founder and CEO of Value3. Today, we are gathered here on the Supply Chain Resilience Conference, wherein the ASEAN is stepping up to the Indian opportunities. This is in collaboration between High Commission of India, Singapore, and Indian Importers Chambers of Commerce and Industry. And we would be focusing the dialogue on India as a major importing country. So global trade, supply and demand is very important for any economy, as we all know it. A lot of factors play a role into this, which is local consumer demand and supply, availability of resources within the country and its trading partners, technology that lies within and outside of the available economic zone, and the ecosystem in which we operate, which can be demographic as well as geopolitical. India today holds the significant amount of import. In fact, it is one of the largest importers globally, with about $600 billion of imports against just about $300 billion of exports. So there's a significant import deficit with most of the trading partners that India has. So we'll be talking more about this. Now, this can be looked at positively for the countries who are looking to export to India as one of the largest importers globally. But at the same time, within the economy, it is looked as a challenge as well, wherein there's a lot of focus on Make in India and Digital India campaigns by the current government to focus on local manufacturing as well. Today, we have esteemed panel members with us to talk about this in particular, and we will focus on what are the major opportunities that lie inherently for ASEAN and India trade, and especially the areas in which we can explore more trade between India and ASEAN countries, where India can act as a major importer, and that can be a significant enabler for a lot of MSMEs across Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Philippines, and Vietnam, the ASEAN bloc that we have. So I would like to go ahead with introductions of our panel members. We have with us Mr. Anil Radhakrishnan, who is the co-founder and CEO of Essex Supply Chain Solutions. He has spent a significant amount of time into the supply chain solutions, and Essex Supply Chain Solutions in particular is an integrated supply chain solutions company providing manufacturing support, inbound and manufacturing solutions, warehousing, distribution, and with all the related technological support to the ecosystem partners. Before Essex Supply Chain Solutions, he was a CEO for Adani Group and has decades of experience in the shipping and logistics industries. Welcome on board, Mr. Anil.
Thank you. Thank you.
We also have with us Mr. Ayush Goswami, who is the CEO of Hind Pharma, which is a more than 40 years old research-based pharmaceuticals formulations developer and manufacturer. And they offer a range of products globally across more than 50 countries in the area of healthcare, hygiene products, with one of their largest manufacturing in the disinfection range, especially F-Claw tablets, ointments, sanitizers, etc. So I'll have more, we will hear more from Mr. Ayush directly. Welcome on board, Mr. Ayush. Last but not the least, we also have with us Dr. Raghunandan, who is the chairman of Nandan Cold Laser Technologies. So this is in the healthcare and hospital industry. They have one of the largest facilities in Gurgaon for diabetes with prickless patches for glucose monitoring and ESG. And we are looking forward to hear from him about their specific export-oriented technologies and diabetic solutions that they have for the supply chain partners. Thank you, everyone on board.
Thank you, Mr. Abhinav.
Thank you, Dr. Raghunandan. So I would open up the forum for all of us to initially share our thoughts on where do we see the opportunities and challenges as far as the global trade is concerned with regards to especially India and ASEAN, but also how India positions itself as one of the largest importers that is quite significant, and what can be the key areas wherein trade can be enabled between ASEAN countries and India. I would start with maybe Dr. Raghunandan to share something about yourselves as well as share where lies the opportunities.
Good morning, Mr. Abhinav Mishra. I'm Dr. S. Raghunandan. I'm heading founder chairman of Dr. Nandan's Cold Therapy Chain of Clinics and heading the director of our international operation for Center of Diabetes and Allied Sciences. It is situated in Gurgaon. So our main focus is that India is becoming a diabetes capital. As we all know that, we wanted to bring the integrative modern medicine, complementary medicine, and holistic approach, so that we wanted to bring the more and more awareness within the population of India. And we know that the pandemic was something that is unexpected, which no one has ever expected that. Most advanced countries with the highest order of health facilities could not save human lives across the world. We know that. Now, you see, we have to take the leaf out of this disaster, what we have gone through. And it is very good to see that Supply Chain Resilience Forum of IIC here for Asian countries, as the Indian Importers and Chamber of Commerce and Industries have made a very good efforts of bringing all the importers together to understand for the future thing. We wanted to revert the situation, what we undergone all this 1 year. And especially, we were all focused and depend on the China for our import of our healthcare or the pharmaceutical, for any of the things. We were major focused on China now. After the post-pandemic situation, we really wanted to see that ASEAN countries is a ray of hope, that where we can exchange the technology, where we can exchange the export and import, flexible, so that we see, end of the day, whatever the business, whatever trade commerce we are doing, health is the only wealth. Maybe if you accept that health is the only wealth, maybe all the countries and the governments, what we have been striving hard to help the humans resources, let us see that how best we can utilize with the available resources within the country and the neighboring countries, and where we wanted to have the friendly relation with the bilateral trade or the commerce. So maybe we have to focus into more into that aspect. And I think I'll leave the forum and let other speakers also can share their ideas.
No, thank you, Dr. Raghunandan. And as you rightly said, right, what better time than now to realize the importance of health, and the pandemic has really actually made all of us realize that apart from creating wealth, health is equally important, because in the end, if there is no life, there is no significance of wealth either. So that is very rightly said. And talking about diabetes, I think that is also very important, because diabetes sits at the root of a variety of other challenges health-wise. And what we saw as a result of COVID and the medication related to that, as that research was going on, there's a lot of challenges in medicating also if you have precondition of diabetes, ranging from low to a severe diabetic patient. And now, what also makes me feel important about this is, as you said, there's a lot of this Atmanirbhar and Make in India campaign that is going on, because of which a lot of healthcare facilities are being built up in India. And related in the related industries also, there's a lot of actually the Make in India campaign has prompted up overall manufacturing industries across different industry sectors, right? And what that is doing is really enabling the supply chains and the demand for the raw material and logistics around it as well. Now, a lot of those raw materials and logistics can be supplied within the country, but as we know, through the trade supplies, a significant portion of that is currently imported, whether it is in the area of metals, minerals, chemicals, consumer electronics, even medical apparatus and equipments, and optical precision instruments, etc. So that has been, so I think with the increase in manufacturing in India, the need for those new supply chains, new trading partners, and the need for these raw materials would increase as well. And that again would create additional opportunities, for trade and for imports for India, and especially enable, and that is another area that I see that you're focusing on, is this is again an area where India-ASEAN trade can increase. Now, as we saw in the pandemic over the last year, other than the health issue, supply chain became the other biggest issue, right? Now, we wanted to build facilities, we wanted to provide ventilators, we wanted to provide, instruments and apparatus, and none of that was available because either, we had geopolitical tensions going on.
True.
And at the same time, we had the travel blockage going on across different geographies.
Mr. Abhinav, actually, every country wanted to protect their citizens, actually.
Exactly.
You understand? So there was a huge gap between the demand and supply. And second is the transportation, and there was no flights also.
Right.
But yes, we need to we should not face the same situation in the coming future, actually.
Right. So such is the challenge today, right? With the global economy and politics so intertwined into each other, it is no longer possible to suddenly dissociate, oneself from the others. And that is where the supply chain becomes equally important, because in the end, if
True.
you want to manufacture, you want to provide healthcare facilities, or you want to meet the consumer demand locally, in the end, you need to have the right supply chain partners, whether within the country or in the supply chain trading partners internationally. And that brings me to you, Mr. Anil. I think by now you would have understood where I'm going with this, right? So supply chain and logistics, and that has been your forte for last few decades, and this became a real challenge. And I would like to hear your views on how we can tackle this, as a I think this was another thing other than diabetes and overall healthcare that was taken for granted earlier, right?
Yes.
Everyone had trading partners in terms of countries. Companies had their buyers and suppliers. Many MSMEs in particular do not have the luxury of having multiple buyers and suppliers, and they were often having, one supplier dependency. And when that supplier could not deliver during the pandemic due to a variety of reasons, this was immediate concern. And many industries have struggled significantly due to a pure supply chain need, despite having consumer demand, for example. So some industries have flourished, whereas some industries have gone in a standstill completely. And supply chain, other than the health, has come up as the other significant area that we need to focus on. So I would like to hear, Anil, from you regarding what you feel about the supply chain and logistics overall, as well as how Essex is contributing in this segment.
Okay, thanks, Abhinav. First, let me thank and congratulate also for this event by Indian Importer Chamber of Commerce and High Commission of India, Singapore. I mean, I would say this is a very apt timing for a supply chain resilience kind of an event. Doctor said health is wealth, and if you have, you rightly pointed out, if you want to keep that health, you need to have a strong supply chain.
Right.
And one factor which I can very well say, if you have seen the pandemic, which was unprecedented, but the way we have come over that, especially in the integrated supply chain mode, everything, combining shipping, transportation, storage, all the service providers, they rose up to the demand, and we could get it done in very much faster pace than we expected. So that shows our country has that power and the resilience to get things done when it demands. So that way I'm really happy the way we all the service providers and exporters, importers, and the manufacturers, they all put together and made it happen. So that is very, on a very positive note, I want to start this a few points on that. You said Atmanirbhar and manufacturing focus is there, but still, if you look at our country is a net importer of goods, approximate $372 billion worth of import is happening. And ASEAN bloc is the fourth largest EXIM trade partner for the country. And with this new geopolitical situation arising, and the focus to ASEAN will be much more. So it's very, very interesting that we have this forum of Easy Trade Connect and the initiatives which are coming, which will really help to bridge the gap or the bridge the understanding between the two blocks. So when I look at India's supply chain, I would like to take it as in three different key factors. One, the economic growth. Post-pandemic, we have seen we have recovered fast. And if you look at the each of the verticals like FMCG or auto, which was really impacted, pharma, of course, all are really growing much faster than expected. That is one point. And our current GDP, the manufacturing, of course, like what you said, is expected to increase from current 16% of the GDP to 25% of GDP. For that, one important element which I've seen, which is being discussed across the board, is how to reduce our logistics costs. Because currently, it's estimated around 13 to 14% of our GDP spend is on logistics. So there is a concerted effort between government and the service providers how we can reduce the logistics cost. The second factor on the demand side growth, like you have mentioned in your opening remarks on the demand supply side factors. On the demand side, growth of manufacturing sector is there. And to augment that, if you look at the logistics, there is a lot of consolidated efforts happening, a lot of infrastructure improvements happening from the government initiatives and from the private sector. And also, if you look at the key segments like third-party logistics, that is giving integrated logistics solution, and intermodal, final express services. If you see the growth of e-commerce sector in India and the way that today you can see 24-hour delivery is quite possible. Even they are looking at even less than 24-day delivery. So once we could never think about that kind of supply chain model in the country. So the way we are growing, it's quite amazing. And I would say from my experience of last 28 years in shipping logistics and different aspects of shipping and in the sector, I would say last few years, I would say last decades, maybe 5 to 10 years, the kind of changes which is happening in the industry is amazing. And from the government side, now you have a secretary for logistics. It's the first time we are seeing that. But that gives a very coordinated effort to put together the different service providers in the industry, because be it transportation, be it railway, shipping, all can come together with that coordinated approach. And then another factor which I would like to add here is the kind of policy changes which has come. Look at the GST. GST, there are two ways of looking at it, but from the logistics and the supply chain perspective, GST has been really a game changer. What I could see witness is that there is a lot of consolidation of regional warehouses, and the most important aspect is the change from earlier tax efficiency to a supply chain efficiency. Earlier, people were looking at how can I effectively circumvent or use the tax rules, but today it's purely on the supply chain, which is and also taking away the border, all that hassles the border has reduced the overall transit time. So the GST is one of that. Then we introduced the e-way bill documentation. Then the significant policy changes on privatization, which has happened in many sectors. It came in railways, it came in port, 100% FDI in many sectors like air, shipping. All that is really helping the growth. And from another aspect of what Axis as a company, what we are doing is when after from a strong professional commitment which I had when we moved into this startup on integrated logistics space, the whole dream was to create a company which is at par with any multinational companies in terms of service deliverables, but at the same time, how can be as local as possible, understanding the true dynamics of our country and how we can create solution from that. That is how the Axis is formed. We have people from the industry having average 20 to 25 years of experience in our team. So from the various aspects of supply chain, be it shipping, be it end-to-end logistics. So the core idea is some of the products which I can say, which is really helping the importers, is we have export and the import consolidation zone. So what happens is now, if you have seen that some of the challenges which people face here is across the globe is availability of the containers. So what we have given is we can have a import consolidation or export consolidation near the port. So getting your and for the importers, we offer a free trade warehousing solution where they can have a duty deferment and also augment the supply chain the way they want. Another one is we run large regional distribution centers. We run end-to-end solution. So basically, the whole idea is how we can cut the inefficiencies in the overall supply chain and pass on that benefit to the customers, so that overall supply chain cost will come down, and then there will be a consistency in the deliverables. So that is the core objective of Access Supply Chain, and we have grown in last 3 years quite good. So what I'm saying is, and even if you look at the kind of startups in logistics, you're seeing the unicorns coming up in India in logistics. I mean, it was unheard. So these are the opportunities, and what I would like to put as a remark for the importers from ASEAN or elsewhere is that we have a very good infrastructure facilities. We have service providers who are at par with any multinational brands, and we have government who's very clear about the regulations which we should enable the supply chain efficiency. So all the factors are very promising, and I would say we should make use of it. That's what I and also one more thing which I would like to add. Even though resource is a constraint, but we have qualified people in young age bracket or experienced age bracket. You look at any age bracket, we have the wealth of experience in our country. So these are some of the very positive highlights which I would like to share.
Thank you, Anil. Very great insights, from you, and remarkable coming from your wealth of experience in this space, shipping, logistics, and supply chain solutions. And as you said, so manpower has never been a challenge for India across the age brackets. And we see that in the supply chain and the solutions related to, especially the integrated solutions related to how, the products move from the warehouse of the suppliers all the way to the buyer, and all the integrated need that is required in between in terms, so that enables trust, that enables financing, shipping, insurance comes in, banking comes in. So this entire ecosystem of support is required to enable global supply chain. And great to see the role that you and your organization Essex is playing in this area. And this is where we as Value3 also offering risk solutions and partnering with the likes of Easy Trade Connect is very important, because we are also able to kind of partner with them and offer these solutions and work with Indian import chambers of commerce to kind of facilitate this trade between ASEAN and Indian economy and the buyers and suppliers. One thing that I would like to hear more from you on is, so we obviously spoke about earlier as well, regarding the logistics cost of India is still about 14 to 16% of the GDP. And we have had a lot of different dialogues wherein we want to bring that down to about 10%. Why is it that the per capita income has stayed low for the India, whereas the contribution to the global trade has significantly increased, and yet the logistics cost is very high? And how are we, what are your views on this dynamics?
Abhinav, if you look at why our logistics cost is high, is mainly because of a lot of inefficiencies in our system. And then a lot of policy requirements. Like if you look at one such initiative which government has taken on the policy side is direct port delivery. For the importers, today they can use that direct port delivery mode, where it reduces the entire timing. When it comes to the port, they can clear the containers within 48 hours. So earlier, where you take maybe 5 to 7 days, it's been cleared within 2 days right now. So there are a lot of ancillary costs, as well as the the efficiency which we can garner with this kind of changes. And also look at the infrastructure. Today, our infrastructure was not at par with global standards. But today, you look at any of the port sector, our ports today, be it in government or in private sector, our performance standards are very much at par with international standards. And again, look at the warehousing. Warehousing was, it was earlier like it's like a running godown, but now which it is changed to running A-class warehouses, And if you look at the FDI, which has come in close to $6.7 billion of FDI has flown into the warehousing sector. So overall, if I answer you, there are three things which has helped: better infrastructure, and also now look at the dedicated freight corridor. Once the dedicated freight corridor comes, then definitely your transit time gets reduced, your cost gets reduced, and then traditionally passenger cargo. The goods never get importance over passenger, so we get impacted on that. But that is with DFC coming in, that is going to change in the major corridor between north and west. So the increased infrastructure, the kind of investment coming in. Second, the adequate policy changes, and a third, building efficiencies in the overall supply chain. That is where the integrated piece is coming very important. Be it warehouse operators, transport solution providers, or shipping companies. There is a overall clear mandate to everybody, like how can you cut the cost and pass it on to the overall to the end users. So these are few things which I feel, whatever has happened earlier, I would say we may see a lot of leapfrogging in this sector, and we are going towards that developed or developing kind of a supply chain economy.
Indeed, indeed. And I think if I may add, I think technology is also playing an enabling role in this
Of course,
space, right?
of course.
So historically, what used to be very manual processes and procedures across the board, now we have technology coming in at each and every segment. And this year we are hearing that even for customs, Indian government is coming up with this e-customs, wherein all the documentations, etc., would be provided on the customs platform and would be available for access to other integrated solutions. And supply chain products, that are working in this area, whether domestically or internationally, this is a great opportunity for them. Because we can bring in the entire ecosystem on one platform digitally, and that would again bring down the cost of logistics and supply chain significantly, wherein we can connect the buyers, the suppliers, banks, insurance, logistics, and supply chain partners. And that is really a great opportunity that I see going forwards, not only between India and ASEAN, but globally, quite frankly. And as you said, a lot of unicorns are already coming up in this space, which are largely focusing on the domestic market. And the cross-border trade is the next area where I think a lot of technological advancements would also happen in the days to come.
Yeah, I fully agree with you, because see, if a unicorn or any digital startup becomes successful, your proof of concept is very solid, because you're working in the most difficult supply chain
Exactly.
area, and if you are successful, that definitely you can replicate in other areas. And I would say this is the best way you can have a proof of concept.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, great. Thank you for your great insights. I think so. Now we've spoken about the challenges in healthcare and the facilities that we are bringing in India. A lot of manufacturing in across sectors like consumer electronics, metals, mining. So we just had reform in the mining sector as well in India, right? So there's the new policy reforms and changes that are being proposed by the government. A lot of changes are and enabling is happening in the pharmaceuticals and the healthcare industry by increasing the limits in FDI and the policy changes as well. Obviously, then, as a leading manufacturer now in the pharmaceutical space, Mr. Ayush, I would now like to bring the focus on Hind Pharma and the role that it has been playing. I mean, it has been one of the leading suppliers across 50 plus in the countries we spoke about, and offers some of the basic tablets and sanitization solutions across, and also has a significant production capacity to meet the needs of its consumers. We would like to hear the story of Hind Pharma. It has been a 40-year-old organization. Why wouldn't you share the history of Hind Pharma a bit with us, and what are the areas in which it is focusing, and what are your insights on overall pharmaceuticals industry with regards globally and with India, and any insights that you have wherein we see opportunities between ASEAN and India to trade in the pharmaceuticals space? Yeah. I should mute.
Thank you, Amna. Good morning,
We
everyone.
can hear you. Yeah.
So, I'd like to tell you more about Hind Pharma. So, Hind Pharma has now been in manufacturing for more than 4 decades now, and has outreach to all the major markets in the world. Now, this especially we see the American market opening up to Indian industries, Indian pharmaceutical industries. This is where we are also, in this market, we are also exporting products which are over-the-counter medicines, hygiene products, hygiene solutions. And with the spread of COVID, it has actually opened up our eyes and also educated masses about the importance of sanitation and hygiene. So the side effects that I see of COVID is happening is that now there will be much fewer deaths due to diarrhea and other simple diseases than before, because we have adopted many practices of hygiene and sanitation. So this is a very positive move that is happening everywhere, including India, African countries, and other developing countries. So with respect to the products that we make, some are over-the-counter medicines, hygiene, sanitation products, ointments, tubes, creams, powders, solutions, tablet solutions. So we provide a wide range of solutions in pharmaceutical industries, majorly all formulations. And one of the innovative products that we have been mastering for the last 2 decades is water purification, which is a big challenge, a global challenge. I would say many people die more of waterborne diseases than any other disease. 90% of the diseases are waterborne. So this is where we specialize in, and we export our water purification tablets to all the biggest organizations in the world, most prestigious ones, including World Health Organization and United Nations. And all of these formulations and products are manufactured here in Bhopal and exported worldwide. Now, with respect to the ASEAN countries, and as we are exporting into ASEAN countries as well, and the raw materials that we use to manufacture are mostly imported, because we have been an importing country, as discussed earlier. And whatsoever manufacturing, we have to import the active pharmaceutical ingredients that are required to make these medicines. And this is where a big opportunity lies for these partnerships that can happen, as Indian government is supporting very much right now with the central government schemes in bulk drugs manufacturing. And this is where all the possibilities of technical collaboration can happen. So with Atmanirbhar Bharat coming up and central government scheme happening up, we can partner and manufacture these medicines within India. And so this will help all the partnering countries in developing this manufacturing capacity with the sample land and labor bank that we have in India. And many industries will come up for these import substitutes. I would say, like, for example, a simple product which has been very much in requirement due to COVID is nitrile gloves. Nitrile gloves is not manufactured in India. It's all imported. So this is such a big opportunity that, for example, Malaysia is a big supplier of nitrile. They can partner with industries in India and become India can become as a global manufacturing hub for manufacturing nitrile gloves and exporting worldwide. So, and active pharmaceutical ingredients and intermediates are the biggest things that are going to come up for manufacturing within India. Now, the second thing which is most important when it comes to pharmaceutical is logistics. And as Radhakrishnan ji said, this is a very upcoming field in which there are huge possibilities of partnerships, as now we need a new modern logistic support system and ecosystem to support these new industries that are coming up within India. We need fast deliveries, we need very simple solutions, and economical solutions. So this is where great number of partnerships and can happen, and we can develop our ecosystem and move further together and grow together. So where I come from in MP has MP is centrally located. We have large land bank. We have good labor, cheap labor, and this is centrally located, so it can be a center for modern logistic hub. Same way, India as a country is geographically located very well. It is very well positioned. So the trade that can happen via India, India can partner very well with Singapore. And as we know, Singapore is very famous, and like it's in our minds, it is number one in shipping, where they ship so fast. Well, so we can, there's an opportunity for us to learn from them and partner up and move forward. And for example, containers in Singapore, they move within a few hours, whereas for us it takes several days in the clearance process and then ultimately shipping it. So this is where we can learn and partner. And there is also a third field in which we can explore more opportunities is in finance. So Singapore is also a financial district, and there are many export-import solutions that can be found from them, and they can provide us that. And they can be a center for financial tie-ups that we can have between several countries. For example, right now exporting into Africa requires a lot of support in opening up a letter of credits. So this is where Singapore can step in. We need a lot of support in dollar transaction. So Singapore is number one in that area as well. So this is where we can use the expertise and have joint ventures with Indian companies so that they can support us financially in logistics as well, and in technological types, as they are also center for research and development. So all of these ASEAN countries can benefit each other, and we can grow together mutually, as we see this this geographical area as the next center of hub of manufacturing and export.
No, indeed. Thank you, Ayush, for sharing your insights. And I think, as you rightly said, I mean, first of all, let me just acknowledge that this is great to see that we have the entire supply chain right now on this forum, right? So wherein Dr. Raghunandan can do the diagnosis, Anil can take care of all the logistics and supply chain solutions, and then
I'll support
Hind
health
Pharma,
for you to make wealth.
exactly, and then Hind Pharma can manufacture and supply the medicines.
Sorry, Abhinav. I know I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
saying, you can do all the value add part sitting in Singapore.
Exactly. So I think, and this is where I think, as you rightly said, right? So Singapore is one of the largest, shipping ports in the world. And it is geographically located in a very interesting area, right, wherein it can facilitate a lot of trade between India, ASEAN, African countries, etc. And the ease of doing business and the stable legal and political environment ensures that it has the right mix of things to have this complex supply chain come together as a unit. And we have been hearing this in our surveys with other industry partners across industries as well. The import export, simple things like making payments in an import export solution, simple things like accepting products at customs, logistics, which should be rather seamless, because trade is not something that we started now, right? We have been doing this for ages. And that can become very complex in terms of who can pay, when you can pay, what you can pay for, what documents are required. And all this become complex, issues that need a solution for. And more than the domestic trade, I think in any trade, and more so in the cross-border trade, the element of trust plays an important role. Because often you may not at the start know the other counterparty, so there's a lot of due diligence process that goes into it, KYC process that goes into it. You need to assess the credit quality of the counterparty, because both parties are concerned, should I deliver first or should I get paid first? And you have this unique proposition where the supplier wants to get paid first and the buyer wants to pay the last. and you try to play in between those two depending upon your size and shape of the organization and the ecosystem under which you are trading, that whether that facilitates that value of trust or not. And this is again where we come in. We're using our risk solutions, and we offer corporate credit rating solutions for corporates as well as banking and insurance institutions. We work with various associations. Now we are also partnering with import chambers of commerce in Singapore, especially to enabling trade between India and ASEAN, and partnering with products like Easy Trade Connect. I think these would be real enablers, where we see that there's a lot of value that is there to be extracted in terms of the products and the services that are offered across ASEAN. I mean, there are a lot of technologies and solutions that are available in Singapore and in Southeast Asian countries, where they are looking for a market, and these solutions can be probably at a significant cost advantage for Indian importers as well, and that can act as a key vehicle to increase trade as well.
Yeah, one point also, Abhinav, if you like what I mentioned, 100% FDI in
Yeah,
warehousing, which has come up, of the $6.5 billion which has come to the country, highest has come from Singapore, almost 1.7.
right,
So
right.
that kind of assurance, reassurance is there between
Right.
the two countries, and that really will help us to boost the future trade as well.
No, and that is what is unique, right? Despite the size of Singapore, as you rightly pointed out, I mean, other than if we go outside of US, China, and UAE, Singapore really comes at the top in terms of our largest trading partner, as far as exports go, as far as the imports go, and FDI goes. So that is really great. And with all the the free trade agreements that Singapore has, and the efficient logistics support, financing support, and the shipping port, one of the largest shipping ports, I think that is really creates an opportunity for other countries as well as for Singapore and ASEAN to partner and create an ecosystem of trust and trade between its suppliers and exporters as well. So that is great. I think we'll move to the next segment now, wherein we also work with a lot of industry ecosystem players and like to gather some questions as well. We would focus on maybe knowing a bit more about your specific sectors. So Dr. Raghunandan, I think you earlier spoke about very passionately about diabetes and especially your diabetic Satyagraha mission. So
Mhm.
why don't you share and enlighten us a bit more about that?
Thank you, Mr. Abhinav. Actually, as we know, everyone understands what is diabetes, what is sugar problem. It is in everybody's house. Actually, everyone understands very easily. But we need to, I think, as I said, that is the root cause of other diseases. When we get into the diabetes, most of the diabetes patient, what we have come across these days, they're all coming out of the stress, disturbed sleep, lifestyle disorder, and no physical exercises actually. So probably, the body, what God has been designed, we have got 170 giants and nearly 850 soft muscles are there. So these 170 giants and 870 soft muscles need the momentum actually. Momentum comes out of the walking actually. Half an hour walking if you do every day, every individual, and half an hour laughing if you do with your friends, you got a good health actually. You don't need any pharma, you don't need doctor, you need not to go to the hospital. But due to our lifestyle and our occupations and preoccupied with the business or whatever it is there, we are not understanding the body biology requirement. So I think that is where we have set up the hospital exclusively, and we got the tag that this is the only hospital dedicated for the diabetes or its complication. We wanted to address it under one roof.
Absolutely, and I think as you said, we have been increasing with the help of the policy changes as well in the government significantly into the manufacturing. And what this pandemic has done, other than all the constraints, today we are here to talk about the positives coming out of it, and coming into the next phase of the global economics and lifestyle. What we are seeing is the world has seen the manufacturing capacity of India. When some of the supply chains were stalled or weakened, then India came forward to build those supply chains, and now increasingly focusing on maintaining those supply chains and those manufacturing industries across different segments. We are inviting a lot of global, large companies across the key sectors where India has been one of the largest importers historically. Whether it is, consumer electronics, or you see the metals and mining, the mining industry is significantly increasing. Healthcare and pharmaceuticals is growing at a significant pace right now. Even agricultural products, medical precision, I think, so medical precision instruments and healthcare and pharmaceuticals is one area where the world has seen new opportunities, but at the same time, a need for innovation and in terms of global supply chain. So I think going in that line of thought, I would like to come to Mr. Ayush, and would like to hear your thoughts on, we heard a lot about the, lifestyle changes that we need in terms of improving our well-being, from a diabetics perspective, but also I think that is related to a large spectrum of diagnosis and lifestyle healthcare issues that we have. And the Hind Pharma, as you said, has been playing a key role in terms of supplying a lot of manufacturing of these medicines, and especially water purification tablets, because as you said, a lot of diseases are waterborne. What are the key areas where you are seeing growth in terms of the pharmaceutical industries, and in your own case as well, which areas are you planning to grow further, and especially to share it with our ASEAN colleagues, where do you see import opportunities as Hind Pharma grows into the next horizon of its own manufacturing capacity and helping the global healthcare and pharmaceutical sector?
Thank you, Abhinav, for that question. First, I would say for trade facilitation and partnerships in different countries, Singapore and can play a very significant role, as it is located very well, and it is a center for business. And several other countries within ASEAN can also play this role, where we are trying to find and explore many different markets where we can enter. Support can be in the terms of facilitating financial documents, opening letter of credits, providing transaction support, and helping in finance. Several times investments are required, and with the FDI opening up and the opportunity of investing into API market within the India, there I see a lot of possibilities of partnerships happening. Second is in logistics ecosystem, where the new and modern logistic hubs can be made for global shipments and for global supply. And third would be in technical partnerships, in research and development, and in investments in creating new modern facilities for producing those basic chemicals and pharmaceutical ingredients which are not presently made in India. That's all I would like to say about the opportunities.
Since Abhinav will be joining, Ayush, I'll just ask you, what is that from your industry perspective? What are the supply chain constraints which you see where we can focus more?
So currently, we are seeing post this pandemic, there are several issues which have come up with the availability of containers, logistics issues, and then LCL shipments, where problems are there in shipping hazardous goods, and the certifications required, and the permissions and the delays which are there. Singapore and the ASEAN countries can help us in creating those hubs and joints where we can ship containers through them, or with the help of them, or create a new system within India with their support. And for example, a country like Bahamas or Fiji, where we are trying to export medicines, but there are not enough connections there. The transit time is upwards of 67, 70 days, 84 days. So if we can reduce this time to down to 30 to 40 days, it will be very beneficial, and it will help us reach, uh, make us reach our products to those countries and open up that market for us. Because if the transit time is this long, then we won't be able to expand rapidly in that market. It will be a barrier for us.
So you made one statement, like, because a lot of imports are coming. So how normally in your industry, what is the kind of split between, mostly it is from ASEAN countries, China, or it's from Europe, US, predominantly, where are the destinations for that?
So China has been right now the biggest manufacturer of these chemicals, basic chemicals, and we have not started manufacturing these chemicals in India yet. So most of these chemicals and active pharmaceutical ingredients are imported from China. And importing from China is not a big issue, but exporting from India, we face many challenges.
One thing, what I want to appraise you is because, see, if you look at the from the container shipping point of view, except a few destinations, what you mentioned, Fiji or otherwise, we are very well connected now. If you look at India, Europe, India, US, India, Far East, there are from Indian ports, both East and West Coast, we have direct ships going out. And it's not even weekly ones. There are multiple weekly. Maybe you between different shipping companies, you may get ample number of direct ships going. So that has improved a lot compared to last 5-10 years. If you ask me, even the connection between West Coast to rest of the world and East Coast to rest of the world, it has tremendously improved. That is one. Second thing, even if you look at the productivity of the ports, productivity of the port is at par with any global port. If you look at Singapore and Indian port terminal operation, based mainly on the container side, it's almost at par with any international ports. So that way, we have moved a lot. Of course, there are challenges in the connectivity part between the port and the roads and the other infrastructure. Yes, still we have challenges in that. But if you set apart that, of course, that is, I'm not saying that is not a big issue, but that is a challenge. Otherwise, our infrastructure today is almost world class, and also the connectivity between Indian ports to the rest of the world has also improved a lot. But in certain countries like what you mentioned, of course, yes, that is a part of the global network, because the ship will go to some other port and there will be a connectivity from that may be taking time. So what you can look at that is look at your current service provider and see whether there are other companies who are doing a better transit in that particular area. That is one thing which you can look at. Otherwise, I would say, infrastructure wise, we are today much better off. And like what you pointed out, there are a lot of multimodal logistics hubs coming up in various areas, like in MP. Each state is bringing up their logistics policy, and also government regulation has made it much easier to qualify for a multimodal logistics park. You don't need the earlier stringent kind of land requirement and all. So that is also coming up. That means, the internal domestic network movement and the cost efficiency will slowly will be better. So
Yes, there's a big opportunity in logistics hubs in MP. There are more than 160 pharmaceutical industries within MP, and it contributes up to 9% of the pharmaceuticals present on this platform. And we hope to see you guys again in the future. Thank you.
Dr. Raghunandan, can I have your closing, please?
Yeah, Mr. Abhinav Mishra, it was a great time we had together today. And you see, thinking of India in global perspective, as we all know that Indian healthcare sector is one of the fastest growing sector, and it is expected to cross the US dollar 372 billion by 2022. And also, India's biotechnical industry is also estimated to increase the 100 billions in 24-25. It is there. Then Indian pharmaceutical industry supplies over 50% of vaccine around the globe. With all the pandemic scare and the scarcity of the supply and the import was not there, even then India has bounced back actually. And as we are at Center of Diabetes and Allied Sciences, we are also importing cath lab and a lot of other medical equipments, which is being delayed due to the since most of the flights have been not been moving proper and the goods are not coming up. But now, given the time, there are under Make in India, we have developed a lot of technology within India also. Maybe all credit goes to the IIT Kharagpur who has been associated with us. And we are coming out with the virtual clinic where a box kind of thing can be given to the patient. At home, he can talk to the doctor whenever he has a problem. Sitting at the hospital, our doctors, the call center can speak to the patient. The golden hour is most important. Most of the fully crowded cities now, it's very difficult to move the ambulance. It's very difficult. So we have come out with the rapid rescue bikes where the paramedical staff or the trained nurses will go to the patient immediately, see that whatever the golden hour time we need to give the first aid and other medical support to them, it is there. The moment you open up the box, the virtual clinic, the virtual screen where a patient can interact with the doctors, doctor can advise the patient, they can listen to the patient sufferings or the problem what they are undergoing. The medical staff will brief the doctors. Then we can check from there itself what is the heartbeat, what is the ECG. Everything comes within a minute actually. Yeah, Ms. Mamta. Again.
Okay. Anil sir, can we have your closing note, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
In fact, I would really like to thank Indian Importers Chamber of Commerce and also the High Commissioner Singapore for initiating such a forum. And thanks Abhinav and rest of our panel for having a really an engaging session. And like what I mentioned, we have seen it's proven in our country that supply chain resilience, what we have shown post pandemic, and we are getting even much stronger. All the key parameters, like what I mentioned, the infrastructure growth, the policy formation, and also the will from the various stakeholders to make supply chain more robust and more resilient is there. And I would really urge all the partners from ASEAN who's coming, looking at opportunities in India, and both sides. It's a right area of opportunity for everybody, and wish all of us good luck post pandemic. Let's hope our recovery will be much faster. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I guess we are good to call this session to an end. I will get Abhinav to close and add his value add. But Anil sir, you have done the most of the job for him. So he will listen in and maybe cut your part and add it at the end.
He managed very well.
You really did. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Mamta.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Mr. Anil. We'll catch up. Ayesh, and
Let's be in touch, Doctor.
Yeah, and since the group is on, let's stay connected. That will be really useful for all of us to really bring this forum together and actively do some work also on ground, both sides.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Mamta, for giving us the opportunity.
My pleasure. And see you all again. Hopefully, we'll do this next year in physical event in Singapore.
Yeah.
Kick off. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Tomorrow, I will need you all between 10 to 11:30 a.m. kind of a thing for the inaugural session when the High Commissioner is there. after that, based on your schedule, you could exit, and after I will keep you posted for the second session when it gets over. If you could come in for 15 minutes of Q&A for that panel after the panel is run. So
Okay.
you'll roughly know that your panel is about an hour's, right? Hour time.
Okay.
So 1 hour you have a buffer, and that after that 15 minutes for anybody asking for live questions. But we'll be collecting in advance, and I'll keep you posted. If there are no questions, then no need to come back. Only for the thank you note. That's we'll take it up virtually itself.
Okay.
Thank
great.
you, Ms.
And
Mamta.
Namita,
Thank
one
you.
more point which I want to, in case, for future, if you want to associate anything with Bombay Chamber of Commerce, you
Certainly.
can let me know, because I'm in the board of director.
Perfect. So we would. It's just the first step, and we wanted to launch
Yes,
this
yes,
before
yes.
this financial year close.
Yeah.
And we have pulled this off in 2 weeks lead time, so you can imagine the
Great job.
Yes.
You've done. Great. Really great. Really
So
great.
the
Thanks
from
to
collaterals to website to everything is all
Yes.
2 weeks. And thanks to you all. Like, if without you, we would not have been able to even conceive that we can pull it off with such good lineup of speakers. So really appreciate all your support.
Thank you, Ms. Mamta. Thank you,
for all
Rekha
your
Sharma,
efforts.
also, who supported us.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes.
Thank you.
And Dr.
Thank you.
Nandan, we can work on a lot of things, because I'm working with the
Done.
Ayush Ministry here, and
Yes,
Singapore
great.
is studying on efficacy of alternative therapies.
See, I did not speak to you. Maybe I'll share with
Sure,
you
we'll-
separately.
yeah,
Let it do
sir.
that. We are there.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a good
Okay.
day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Namaskar.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aish.
Thank you.
Thank you.